Hey everyone, how's it going? So today I'm here with my PvE, PvP, and Battle Arena 3-star tier list. Now, before I even get any further, I just want to say that this is my own personal opinion. So you guys could literally disagree with me on every single character on this list, and that'll be completely fine because it is your own opinion. But the game is only a week and a half old, and I've gotten a lot of questions about, is this account roll good? I know, is this a good account for PvP? Is this a good account for the main quest? I'm stuck on this quest. Can I get help? What character should I run? So I just decided to go ahead and make a tier list for each of the main categories and events in the game. So for example, as I said, we have quest, clan battle, and PvP. So I'm going to do a tier list for each and every single one of them. Not further ado, let's just jump right into it. So to start off for PvE, I decided to go with tanks are everything, and which is why I have Nozomi and June in the SS tier. So tanks, especially Nozomi, because she's just that good. She has that taunt ability, and she's able to give, a physical attack buff, and she just does a whole bunch of stuff, which is why she's SS tier. If I wanted to, I could literally make her SS tier and then put her up here and have June below. But I decided to just put them on the same tier, so I don't have, people like going, oh, if I don't have Nozomi, then my account sucks, for PvE. That's not true at all. June is definitely a carry in her own way. She is a very, very powerful tank. And yeah, so that's going to be the SS tier for this one. For the S tier, I decided to go with Maho, Chizuru, and Saren. Now, the reason why I went with these three is one, because, well, Maho is an absolute magical defense tank. She has that blind ability, which can be somewhat useful. She has that TP regenerative ability on her Union Burst. She also gives, magical defense, I think, to all allies or something like that, and then a magical attack buff as well. So if you have a strong magical attacker, then I'm pretty sure Maho paired with any magical attacker pretty much is going to be, a really, really good kind of team comp. Now, even though I have Ana all the way down, let's just get Ana out of the way. Ana is all the way at the bottom of the tier list because if you use her Union Burst in the higher stages of the game, you are basically going to just have that character die. So for 3 stars and stuff, she is not the most optimal character. But if you are pairing Maho with Ana, I genuinely say you could put Ana probably in B tier. But for now, if you don't have Maho paired with Ana because she gives that, defense buff, magical defense buff, Maho gives, and a magical attack buff, making her defend well and hit harder and regenerate her TP or Union Burst back. But as soon as you use Ana's Union Burst, she is basically dead, which is why I don't recommend using her Union Burst in PvE unless you're using it at the start of the battle and you know that your tanks are going to live long enough to where her defense doesn't basically die. And then for Chizuru here, this is just going to be point blank that she is an extremely good jack of all trades. She heals, she gives a physical barrier to all of your allies on your team that allows you to defend really, really strong against those dungeon bosses, against just hard-hitting main quest bosses as well. She's very, very useful, and she does a decent amount of damage too. It's not, as hitting as hard as Makoto or Jita here, but it's still hitting decently hard. She does have that barrier, as I said, and she does give single target healing, which can be very useful. And of course, for the last part of S tier, I went with Saren, because Saren, of course, she regenerates that TP. She has an AoE physical attack, which can be super useful at some certain points. And she also, paired with any really character next to her, it's going to make that Union Burst fly out even faster. And Union Burst obviously being the thing that you want to get in the game, which makes every character super, super useful. And then for A tier, most characters in this list are going to be A tier and above. So that's really good. So most characters, if you basically pull a 3-star, the chances of you getting a B tier or higher PvE character are, 80% chance almost, or 95% chance of you getting a really, really good character for PvE. So if you see a character like down in B tier, like Reno isn't, she isn't the best for single target damage, but she's still really good in PvE when you're dealing with a lot of enemies. But let's get back to A tier. So A tier, of course, I have Jita. Now Jita, the reason why she is in A tier is because of her insanely high TP regenerative burst that she's able to give herself to make her Union Burst come out so fast. She hits extremely hard, and then when Makoto and Jita pair together, these two will absolutely destroy any character in the game in main quest that does not have an extremely high physical defense. Of course, I have Monica here, just for the simple fact that Monica buffs up these physical allies, and physical is basically meta right now in terms of the main quest. Physical damage is going to be pretty much meta, and the only reason why you're going to ever want to use a magical team in main quest is to kill those annoying ass big dinosaur-looking dudes that have the extremely high defensive power. Even with Makoto lowering their defense, it's still not enough for allow them to hit even in like the thousands. They're still going to be hitting for like 500, 600 on their Union Burst, which is, you know, obviously really bad. So, as I said, that is why I have these three in the top tiers, just because they are going to run very, very extremely well on any team, basically. Makoto being able to defensive shred, Jita being able to regenerate her TP Union Burst really fast, and the Monica buffing up the physical allies on her team. And then, of course, to end off A tier, we have Hatsune here, just because Hatsune is a very, very good magical mage. Nothing really else I could say about her other than she's extremely good, and she snipes the highest physical attacker, I believe. So she can be really useful for some main quests and stuff. And to start off B tier, I decided to go with Exjino here. Now, the reason why Exjino is, you know, in B tier and she's not, you know, A tier or anything like that is because Exjino is just, I don't know how to put this into words, but if you pull Exjino at the start of the game, she's going to basically carry you in damage. She just hits extremely hard on her Union Burst. She has that counter ability, which can be really useful. But spoiler alerts, until she gets 6 stars in the global version of the game, she's going to be in this tier pretty much forever. And basically every single tier list I have her, she's going to be ranging from these 3 right here. I think she's in, yeah, she's in this tier as well. But pretty much Exjino is going to be, you know, kind of not, I wouldn't say she's useless, but she's definitely the worst 3-star character you can pull out of this entire list, because at least some of these characters, like, will have an A tier and S tier, even though they are in a C tier. But Exjino is just the one character that's consistently on the bottom of the leaderboard that I found. But as I said, when she gets her 6 stars, she is absolutely ridiculous. So that is why I still, even if you do pull her now, and you're just like, oh, she's so bad in these tier lists and stuff, and everyone's telling me not to upgrade her, you should still probably upgrade her. Just get her to, like, you know, maybe rank 4s or 5s or 6s, depending on where you're at, and then maybe save the rank 7 for later on. But once this girl gets her 6-star and her unique equip, it's over. As soon as she gets that, she literally jumps up to this tier, or this tier almost. Exjino is absolutely nuts. She's great everywhere, and I'll get into her on the next tier list and stuff after she gets her 6 stars. But for now, guys, she's going to be in these bottom tiers. Of course, we have Reno here, as I said. Reno being an AoE attacker, not really strong against those big bosses in main quest. And then, of course, Io here, as I said, not strong against those big bosses, which is why she is in B tier. But against the smaller enemies, like these two, I decided to put them together because they still are AoE attackers. And then, of course, to end it off, we have Ninon here. And Ninon, basically paired with Reno, is a really, really good comp. But she just, I don't know, there's just something about her that just makes her feel weak in main quest. She just doesn't feel as strong as any of these other characters on this list. And then, of course, we have Kamikaze tier, aka Ana. Now, if you play without auto attacks on, which I highly recommend if you're playing main quest, if you never use her Union Burst, she can be a very, very good magical defense tank, and she can hit really hard with the magical attacks. But if you use her Union Burst one time and you get hit with her, she's instantly dead. So as I said, that is why she is Kamikaze tier, because she could do, yeah, a lot of damage with her Union Burst, but as soon as you use it and she gets hit once or twice, she's just exploding. So you got to be really, really careful if you use Ana. But, you know, she isn't that bad. I wouldn't put her in, like, absolutely F-tiered PvE, because she is still a 3-star, so her stats are really, really good, and of course she is a magical attacker. So if you don't have any other magical attackers, there's not many magical attackers in this game, and for now, for the 3 stars, but there will be later on. You only have, what, Hatsune and Ana, basically, and Io, I guess you can count. Maho doesn't really hit magical attack hard, so she's really your only main magical attacker, and her and Hatsune. Obviously, I'd run Hatsune over Ana any single day of the week, for PvE specifically. But if you don't have another magical attacker, she's not going to instantly kill you. As I said, if you don't use her Union Burst, she can be pretty decent defensively. Physical, she still gets cream pied, but magical defense, she is pretty decent, especially if you pair her with Maho, as I said. She will have pretty decent defense, plus that magical attack will make her pretty decent. But for now, she's going to be Kamikaze tier. So that's going to do it for the PvE tier, and we're going to move on to the next tab, which is going to be Clan Battle. So for Clan Battle, this is going to be very self-explanatory. For the first, 3 or 4 clan battles, This is going to be probably the same tier list, and I don't think I would ever change this until some major characters come out, which I don't want to spoil. But if you want to look into it on the Japanese side of the game, there is going to be some majorly extremely powerful characters that are going to come out that are absolutely going to take over Clan Battle. And of course, no matter what, Makoto still 3 years later into the game, she's still going to be S tier in Clan Battle just because of how powerful she is with that defensive shred. Absolutely carries in Clan Battle. But for now, Makoto easily in this early of the game stands alone as the pinnacle of Clan Battle power, just being straight up doggo tier. She's extremely really good. If you don't have her, if you don't have Makoto, your Clan Battle is not going to be that good. Your score, it won't be as high as anyone else's, which is why I severely, if you want to get high Clan Battle score, as long as you have Makoto, and you're pretty much good to go. And that is why most people recommend rolling for Makoto as your basic role guide. Is you want to get Makoto. She's the main character you want to focus because she is pretty much good everywhere. She's good, obviously, in PvE with an A tier, and then she's the best character in the game for Clan Battle. Which means, she's obviously just a super high tier character, which is why people say you should go for her, because she is definitively #1 in Clan Battle. And then to move down to S tier, of course, we have Jita. As I said, these two paired together are an absolute devastating combo. So if you manage to pull this 4, or this 5 actually, in these top 5 right here, you're pretty much set to go for Clan Battle, and I don't think anyone is going to stand in your way in Clan Battle, and you're going to get an extremely high score. But of course, we have Saren, as I talked about before, extremely high TP regenerative, and then Monica, which is just going to buff up Makoto and Jita for the extremely high physical damage. And then of course we have Nozomi here, because her Union Burst is going to be giving the physical attack buff to all allies, so she's going to be basically making this team hit harder. So as I said, if you pull these 5 right here, your Clan Battle is pretty much set. Of Kino, the only reason why she is A tier for this is because she is an extremely high hitter and hard hitter for the physical attacks. That is the only reason she is A tier. Genuinely, you probably could move her down to B tier, because I still think I would run her over her. But if you don't have, maybe you're missing Jita, she can be a nice secondary option for that extra physical damage. But genuinely speaking, Aquino, really her only use for now is maybe a little. All she does is really hit hard. Her healing is really weak. And then of course you have Maho down here. Now the reason why Maho is here is because of her healing, and that's pretty much it. And then June is only here because of her healing and her tanking ability. And then everyone else for now is just going to be really, really bottom barrel at C tier. So these characters, this tier list is really, really different from PvP or PvE, because PvE you can interchange mostly every character in this tier, but for Clan Battle and stuff, this tier list is pretty much set in stone. You can't really move characters around, especially these top 5 right here. These guys are pretty much set in stone to not move anywhere. But you can move maybe these 2 around, and you can move maybe her around, and that's basically it. Maybe June around. You can move June to C tier, or do whatever you want with June. I don't care. But basically, what I'm trying to say is Clan Battle is going to be the most strict kind of 3-star event, as I said. And yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for Clan Battle. Let's hop into the final list, and this is easily the hardest list I had to make, which is PvP. So here is my own personal PvP tier list. So as you can see, most characters in here, and over 50% of the characters, are going to be in that A tier or higher, which is obviously extremely good for PvP, which basically means if you pull a 3-star, the chances of you having a very decently good option for PvP is going to be, 1 in 2? Or 1 in 1.5 chance. So that's pretty good. So to start it off, basically no explanation needed for Nozomi. She's just basically S tier. She's super top tier in every single list, as you can see. No explanation needed. Extremely high defenses, extremely high basically everything. Physical attack buffer, taunter, PvP, absolutely carries. Also for S tier, I'm sorry, we have Reno. And Reno is she's just nuts. If Reno gets her Union Burst off, pretty much their entire team, or your entire team, is dead. She's nuts. And especially if you pair her with Saren, and then you have these two physical AoE attackers together. They are extremely crazy, and pretty much the meta now is basically physical, and that's basically what you're going to want to do. Now, PvP is really, really weird, because depending on the enemy team's comp, some of these characters can genuinely jump from A tier to SS tier, and some of these SST characters can jump down to here. Like if the enemy team has Shizuru, Nozomi, Miyako, and they're just extremely tough against your physical attackers, then these characters just drop down to here, right? But I genuinely think that most characters or most players are going to be running, kind of a magical-ish team. Most players are not going to have all these crazy 3-star options. Of course, the whales will, but once you get into that top 300 or top 500 rank, where I'm usually sitting at around in Battle Arena, that's when you start to see these kind of teams. So, but until then, when you're climbing and stuff, these 3 characters are going to absolutely carry. And if you have these 3 on a team and paired up with literally anyone else, you can have Exjino on this team, and you'll do just fine, just because these 3 absolutely carry. No explanation really needed for June. She's an extremely good tank and a good healer. Hatsune. Now, Hatsune, the reason why she's super high on this tier list is because she is the magical attacker. She has that extremely good debuffs and stuff. So, Hatsune is, she's very, 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 very powerful. And especially, as I said, if they're running a very physical-heavy team, they have no magical defense, Hatsune is going to absolutely tear their team to shreds. And then at the top of A tier, very, very top of A tier, I almost want to put her in S tier. Am I going to put her in S tier? Do I do it? Do I switch it up mid-video? I don't know. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. So I'm going to put Saren up into S tier, because I still think that TP regenerative ability is way too powerful for basically every single tier list. As you can see, Saren is absolutely crazy nuts in global release. And what's crazier is that 6-star Saren, still to this day, is going to be like SS tier in basically every single one of these categories. So Saren is probably the most valuable character to have in terms of later down in the road being extremely useful. Of course, Nozomi is still extremely powerful later in the game, but she gets replaced, I believe. But still, I mean, Saren, I'm going to move her up to S tier just because of that TP regenerative ability. It's just way too strong for PvP. It's way too strong for clan battle, and it's really, really strong for PvE. So Saren, she deserves that S tier. To start off A tier, I'm going to go with Maho. As I said, Maho, no need explanation again. She has that blind ability, TP regenerative ability, magical attack or magical defense server. Ana, I could talk about here for PvP. Now, Ana, if you manage to get Ana's attack off before they kill your frontline defense or your tanks, you pretty much win the game, especially if you manage to kill 1 or 2 characters with Ana. But as I said, as soon as you use Ana's Union Burst, and you can't, just not use your Union Burst because PvP is in a constant auto attack state. So if you don't, it's forcing you to use her Union Burst, which is going to make her die, basically. As soon as you use her Union Burst, she does have that 10%, under 10% HP. She does blow up herself, which can be useful in PvP, but it really is useless in, PvE, which is why she's Kamikaze tier. But, personally, Ana can be interchangeable between literally these 3 tiers, I think. She can be moved up and down any way, which way you guys seem fit. Now, Jita, the reason why she is in A tier and not S tier, even though she has extremely high TP regenerability, I want to put her in S tier, but, these 3 characters are just better. She does have that extremely high TP regenerability. Nothing much really to talk about. Now, Io is extremely powerful, and I haven't really talked about Io much. So let me just go over Io in PvP. Io in PvP, if she gets her Union Burst off, you basically win the game, because it's, what, 5 seconds or 3 seconds of just the enemies not being able to hit you, or you not being able to hit the enemy. And depending on how many of their characters are alive, or how many characters you have alive, you can just basically win the game at that point. As soon as you get her Union Burst off. But her Union Burst takes a little bit of time to regenerate, which is why if you run her with Saren, it's an absolutely strong combo. But Io, she deserves this A tier easily. And then, of course, Shizuru here, just because physical is basically meta, so Chizuru can be a really strong defender against these 3 characters right up here. For B tier, I went with Makoto, and it pains me to do that because Makoto is my favorite character, my personal pick for favorite character, but Makoto, her defensive tread can be useful. It can be really useful, actually, but you know, she just doesn't have that, you know, healing or AoE attacks that are really, really useful inside of PvP. And then, for the final part of B tier, we have Ninon. Now, Ninon paired with Reno is extremely powerful, and these two together basically rule the meta. But unless you have both of these characters, you know, she's not going to be in these higher tiers. If you had Ninon and Reno, she probably could jump up to A tier or even S tier. But without her, she's B tier, which, you know, relying on another character to make yourself stronger is the reason why you would probably place them lower on the tier list. But to finish it off, I'm sorry, Exjino, but until you get your 6-star and your Union equip, you're just going to be C tier for PvP. She just doesn't offer anything else that any of these other characters do. Ninon, of course, being an AoE attacker. They have Makoto here, who has that defensive shred. But all she does is hit hard. And every character here hits hard. Except for, of course, the tanks and stuff. But all she does is basically hit decently hard. And her healing is terrible. So she's just C tier. You know, that's basically all I have to say about Exjino. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this tier list. Let me know if you guys like this tier list. I put a lot of thought into this. It took me about 30 minutes to make. I was switching up characters back and forth. You know, I was going this and that, doing all this kind of crazy stuff inside my head, all this mental attitude. But, you know, let me know what you guys think. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And I hope you guys will have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace out.